continue to grant recording access, and we will give the first question to Sarah Spencer.
Hey, Travis, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm good. Just to start out, I know the goal entering this season was to make the playoffs. What do you make of the way this group was able to exceed expectations?
Obviously really proud of the group. I told all the guys during the exit interview, not only, how we performed on the floor, but really how we went through this COVID season with all the guys, adhering to all the testing that we had to do, adhering to all the restrictions that we had on us, throughout the season. Obviously we didn't have any COVID outbreaks. So I was just really proud of the guys, and, managing all the difficulties of this season and being able to stay focused on the games with all the other things that we had going on with all the different protocols.
I know for Trey, obviously it ended on a little bit of a rough note because he got injured there at the end. But what did you like about the way he kind of handled himself in the playoffs and kind of led the team?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously very pleased. And I told him yesterday, the fact, not just Trey, but really a lot of our guys, gave up some individual stats for team success. His shot attempts per game were down this year. His numbers were down across the board, I think. But, he did that sacrifice for the good of the team. And then obviously really pleased with the way he played in the playoffs. That was always, one of the knocks on him. There are lots of knocks on him throughout his career, but one of them was, could he be on a winning team? Could he produce in the playoffs? And, I think he proved that he's capable of doing both. So, very pleased with him. Still has work to do, and he will continue to work and get better. And I think that's what's exciting about not just Trey, but all our guys. We're still, save for a few veteran guys, we're still a really young team. The core of our team is a young group, and that's what gives us optimism moving forward.
Chris Kirschner.
Hey, Travis, when you have a season like this one, does it at all change your thinking when it comes to the roster decisions you have to make now as opposed to what you might have thought a couple of months ago?
Maybe a little bit. I was joking. We had another draft workout this morning, and I was talking with one of the guys, and they're talking about a particular player, and I was like, well, he can't help us beat Milwaukee. So it does change a little bit. We don't want to. How do I say this so I don't paint myself in a corner? We're excited about the direction we're on, and we don't want to take steps back. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I anticipate us, making deep playoff runs every year, because there's a lot of different things that go into that. But, we want to continue to be very competitive moving forward in the league.
How challenging is it to keep a very young roster in place while those contract decisions loom, while also simultaneously trying to improve the roster outside of internal growth?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the name of the game, right? I mean, that's why we have a salary cap. Every team has to make those decisions, and it does get hard. Obviously, it's a lot easier when you have guys on rookie scale deals to build out your roster. But once those deals come up, and those players start making bigger money, you really are limited on the ways to add to your team. Mid-level exceptions and things of that nature, but we won't be in a situation where we have a lot of cap space like we had last year.
Zach Klein.
Trav, the way Milwaukee won by having so much success in the paint, does that change your philosophy and how you build this team? Do you need to get bigger guys or just play bigger?
Well, no, I think, listen, obviously we want to improve, and Milwaukee's a big physical team, and we saw that especially in Game 5, where they really went to work in the paint on us. I have a lot of confidence in our guys, in their ability to be physical. But speaking with all the guys yesterday, I think it's easy to say that playoff basketball is more physical, but until you live it, now they all understand what that means. it's just a different game. It's just officiated completely different than they officiate in the regular season. And, everyone always says that, but I think until you actually experience it, it can be kind of a shock.
And where do you stand with Coach? How are the conversations with Nathan moving forward?
We have an agreement in place in principle with Nate. So we're just drawing up the contract, and you'll probably be getting an email from Garen or Steiny soon announcing him as our next head coach.
Charles Odom.
Sorry, just to follow up on that, his initial reluctance to accept an interim position, did that cause you any concern about his interest in assuming a permanent long-term role?
No, it didn't. Like I said, we've now worked together for, I don't know, 4 months. We've had a very good working relationship, and I'm excited that he's going to be our head coach moving forward.
Did you follow up? Did you feel the need to move quickly on this before another team had a chance to come in and speak with him?
Well, from the first day when he took over as interim head coach, we both kind of made the decision that we were going to get to the end of the season before we talked. The season obviously ended the other day, and we started talking with his agents yesterday, and came to a deal this morning.
Brandon Harper.
Yeah, Travis, we've known that, throughout the league, not just with you all, but overall, it's pretty much been the war of attrition with so many teams around the league. You've had guys to miss 20, 30, 40 games. And, throughout history, if you look around the league, you just don't have teams succeed the way that you all have done this season when you have so many key guys miss that many games. Just talk about how proud you are of your guys being able to overcome so many obstacles to get to where you all got to in such a early time frame.
Yeah, listen, I give our staff a ton of credit. Our training staff for getting guys back as soon as possible. But to your point, injuries happen, and one of the big things we wanted to focus on this year with our roster is trying to have great balance all the way through it. And as you said, you saw a bunch of different guys throughout the season, all the way down to, Skylar Mays and Nason Knight as our two-way guys, be called upon at different parts of the season and go out there and be productive for us. Brandon Goodwin, when Trey sprained his ankle, fills into the starter role, does a great job. So we did, to your point, we got a lot of production from all 17 guys on our roster this year, and it was very needed. Because of all the injuries.
Mark Bradley.
Travis, were there moments during the playoffs when you would look out on the court and say, yeah, this is what I had in mind when I came here 4 years ago?
I don't know that I ever had those thoughts in my mind, but I will say there are moments during the playoffs when you take a lot of pride and a lot of joy and what we've been able to accomplish in such a short period. Typically when you go through these rebuilding processes through the draft, it can take several years to do that, and to essentially go through 3 drafts and be able to get to where we are. I do take satisfaction in that.
The was what you saw in the postseason, you felt that a change in coaching was needed back on March 1st? You had a team capable of doing that.
You kind of cut out there, so I didn't really hear the question.
I'm sorry. The reason you made the coaching change on March 1st was that because you thought we not only should be in the playoffs, we have a chance to do something in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, we had the stated goal going into this year, right? We wanted games at the end of the season to matter. We were trying to get at least into the play-in for the playoffs. When we decided to make the change, we just felt like to give ourselves the best chance to get in that situation, that was needed at the time. Yes.
Thank you.
Terrell Thomas.
Good afternoon, Travis. How far are you in your process as far as preparing for the next season as it compares to previous years? Of course, this year, the playoffs went a lot further than normal, and our Hawks went a lot further than a lot of people expected in playing in July, but the season starts right back up in October. So how far are you in your process as far as looking at draft picks, potential free agents, and how the roster is currently constructed?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, that's really kind of a year-round job. Obviously, we're scouting for the draft all year long. As far as, pro personnel scouting for free agents, it's a year-round job. So obviously, we're 24 days away from the draft. We're in the process of bringing guys in. We've already had several draft workouts. We've got 2 more later on this week. So we're in full swing on that front.
Thank you.
Emmanuel Glaze.
Travis, you just stated a few minutes ago about being able to have some satisfaction about building through the draft. This team is loaded with a lot of the draft picks that you guys picked over the last few years. How important is it to continue that build and find those type of pieces that can help through the draft?
Extremely important, as we talked about earlier, because of the salary cap. If you can draft a player that can give you production on a rookie style contract, that's going to be extremely important to us as we sit here and project to be a team over the cap in the next few years. You have to be able to go out and find those guys on, for lack of a better term, team-friendly contracts that can help you win games on the floor.
Let's go to Chris Kirschner.
Hey, Travis, when did you know specifically that Nate was the guy for you? Was there a specific moment during this postseason run?
No, I think even before the postseason started, I think he did a great job from day one when he came in. The players responded to him extremely well, and I thought he did a great job of being really consistent with his messaging to the group. I don't remember the exact day or time, but at some point, during the regular season, went into Nate and told him that, the job was his if he wanted it, and we both agreed to wait till the end of the season to formalize it, but it was before the playoffs.
Why do you believe his messaging resonated so well with the team?
He's unbelievably consistent with it. There's no back and forth. Once he says, this is what we're going to do, he's consistent with it. And because of that consistency, I think the players believe it. When somebody tells you, something one day and then they tell you the opposite next day, it's hard to have that trust. But with him, he was unbelievably persistent with his views, and guys bought into it.
Sarah.
Hey, Travis. How did you see Onyeka develop over this season, from obviously starting the season out kind of banged up and a little bit of a slow start to flashing such major potential in the playoffs?
Yeah, no, I told yesterday, I don't think I've ever seen a player improve so much from the beginning of the playoffs to the end of the playoffs. As you mentioned, when we drafted him last year, he had the broken bone in his foot. Didn't have a summer league opportunity, wasn't able to participate in training camp, wasn't able to play through the start of the season, and, to get, maybe 3 minutes a game in the beginning to, where he's out there playing against, two-time MVP and holding his own is very, very, very proud of him. Told him he should be extremely proud, but there's a lot more there, and O knows that, and we feel like that. He's only going to get better.
Zach Klein.
Trav, who pulled off the biggest pleasant surprise in your eyes? Preseason, you have an expectation of some skill set for one of your guys, and over the course of the year, they do something. You're like, man, I thought 8-9 months ago they were this, but they exceeded my expectations going into the year.
John Steinberg.
Well, he is a Hall of Famer.
No, I mean, listen, I think that there were a lot of guys that improve this year. I really do. I mean, obviously we just talked about and the growth, for a rookie coming in. I thought Kevin Herter from the start of the year to the end of the year, what he was able to do on the defensive side of the floor, for large stretches of the season, being asked to guard the other team's best player. I don't think anyone ever, thought of Kevin in that light. So a ton of growth there. But I think really, and it's not necessarily a young guy, but a new guy to us, Bogey. I thought, obviously I've been a fan of his. I remember watching him all the way back, when he played at Fenerbahce all the time. But, he's even a better player than I thought. He's just a really good basketball player. So I guess I would go with him. But like I said, we had a bunch of guys, step up and have good years for us.
And how's DeAndre? Any update on his progress?
Yeah, he's still out in LA doing his rehab. By all accounts, rehab is going extremely well. But he'll be out there the rest of his time doing his rehab. But every report I get is nothing but positive.
Brad Rowland.
Hey, Travis, it's obviously a good problem, but you didn't ever have your roster at full health and you were able to still make this run. Does that make it in any way more challenging to do your evaluations, not knowing and not seeing this group completely as you designed it?
I don't know that it's challenging. I think it was probably more a little bit exciting, what we could be with a full group. So like I said, throughout the course of the season, different guys stepped up and we're all able to go out there and be productive for us at different times. So I don't think it makes the job harder. I think it maybe is a little bit more exciting to us to what we could be if everybody is healthy. But very few teams, if any, go through the whole year where they stay healthy. So it's good to have that depth for sure.
Eric Jackson.
Hey, Travis. What areas of the roster would you like to see improved over the offseason?
I think, as I mentioned, we're in a good space. A lot of our guys are under contract moving forward. One of the areas, it's no secret that we've always been, I guess we've struggled to fill a consistent role is at the backup point guard spot. Tried it over the past couple of years. We've had, a couple different guys. So I think that'll be one area that we look to shore up this off season.
Yeah, and with Nate locked in, how much are you going to listen to his opinion, just in terms of the construction of the roster?
Not at all. Listen, obviously he's going to have a voice in all our personnel decisions moving forward. It would be pretty foolish of me to go sign some player that he hates and that he would never play.
Thanks.
Edwin Powell.
Good morning, Travis. Has any discussion been on the players that we be playing summer league, or is that more of a Nate McMillan call?
No, we've talked to the guys that are going to be playing summer league that are on the roster. I think it's been out there publicly that Cam was going to play in summer league. He'll be on the team. Onekia will be on the team. Skylar Mays will be on the team, and then we anticipate Nathan Knight as well for the guys that have played with us this year.
Davide.
Hi, I'm from Italy, so I'm going to ask you about Danilo Gallinari here. Obviously, he was one of your biggest signing in the past off-season. I'm curious what do you think about his performance, and how are you going to support him this summer when he's going to play in the Olympics with Italy?
Yeah, so you guys had a huge win yesterday. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. When I spoke with Gallo yesterday, that game hadn't happened yet, but he was not planning on playing on the national team, but that may have changed now. I don't know. But if he decides to play, certainly he'll have our full support. As far as, how he performed this year, obviously he was a big piece of what we did. He was, both on and off the court. As I told him yesterday, he had a great veteran presence in our locker room. just with his professionalism, the way that he goes about taking care of his body every single day, set a great example for our guys. And then obviously a productive player on the court. We really featured him in our second unit to be able to provide consistent scoring punch for us off the bench. He's a great person and obviously a good player. So we were super excited about adding him this past summer.
Christos.
Hello, Mr. Schlenk. Hope you're doing well. I would like to ask you, one of the key factors of team success in the NBA is consistency. So what do you need to do next season to be a consistent team to fight for the championship one more year?
Well, I think, obviously we have to become a more consistent defensive team, that as the old saying goes, defense wins championships, right? I think we showed a lot of growth there. I think the other thing that we can continue to do better as a group, and I think we got better as the year went on this year, is, limit our turnovers. Those are the two things that, good teams do. They don't beat themselves by making turnovers, and, they can go out there and get stops when they need to.
And for next season, what's your initial expectation for that group?
We want to be competitive. That's the other thing that, I told our guys is when teams play the Atlanta Hawks next year, they're gonna show up. We were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Teams aren't going to overlook us next year, so they got to be ready for that. So we want to go out there and be extremely competitive and be successful on the court.
Mark Bradley.
Coach, just for the, or I'm sorry, not coach, general manager Schlenk. Just for the, well, yeah, Travis. Just for the record, the Hawks' feeling toward John Collins going into this offseason is what?
I told John yesterday I was extremely proud of the way he played this year. He made a decision to go to restricted free agency last fall, and a lot of times that can impact a player. But I think what you saw from John, he wasn't out there playing for his numbers. He was out there playing for the team to win. And a lot of cases when guys are going into free agency, you can see the opposite. And we didn't see that at all in John this year. And I think that speaks very, very highly of his character and what he's about. He's about being on a winning basketball team. So I don't have anything negative to say about John Collins.
But there is definite interest in keeping him as a Hawk next year.
Yeah, I don't know why there wouldn't be.
Thank you.
Chris Kirschner.
Yesterday, Bogey said that he had a meeting today with the training staff regarding his knee. Is there any update with that?
Yeah, so as you guys know, he was playing on an injured knee through this last series. Our doctors have looked at it. Right now, we're waiting on a second opinion doctor to get back to us to see what the best thing to do is. But, I would say in the next, day, certainly 2 days, we'll have a plan for him on what's going to happen with his knee.
And then since you've taken over, you've consistently said when it comes to the draft that your plan is to always take the best player available. Does that change now that the roster is mostly in place and you made it as far as you did?
Yep, we're going to take the worst player this year.
Okay, I'm going to report that.
Just a few more. Let's go to Jonathan Simmons.
Hey, Travis, good afternoon. Good to see you again. Two things. First of all, congratulations on an epic season. I think that you guys moved probably farther than anybody expected. Two things. One, the Hawks seem to have a lot of problems with physicality with big men in the paint. Do you anticipate adding a player of that caliber on or trying to find someone? And number two, Coach Nate talked about his own personal growth and how it impacted the team. How pleased were you to see that affect this team and build the camaraderie that we all saw?
Yeah, so we'll start with Coach McMillan. Obviously extremely impressed with Coach, and I can't remember, and I think this has been reported, so it's kind of a boring story, I guess, but it was after one game where we didn't play that well, and Nate went into the locker room and addressed the team and handled himself as you would expect, with nothing but class and dignity. And I went into his office the next day and I said, man, you're a way better person than I would have walked in there and started cursing. And he said, no, there was a time in his coaching career that that's what he would have done as well. But, he's learned through the course of all his experiences that, that's not the best way to approach people. And so anytime that you can surround yourself with people that can learn and continue to grow, especially when someone like Nate, who's had so much success as a head coach, but still realizes that there's always room to grow and get better. Those are the kind of people that we want to have here with us at the Atlanta Hawks. So that answer that question. And then for the first part of your question, as far as the physicality, I have a ton of confidence in the big guys on our team. I think, obviously Brook Lopez, they call him Splash Mountain. The mountain's there for a reason. He's an extremely big guy and he's really talented. When you get to the part of the season that we got to, the Eastern Conference Finals, you're playing against good teams and good players. So I have confidence. The short answer is I have confidence in the big guys on our roster to be able to compete.
Thanks, Travis.
Kevin Chenard.
The NBA Rules Committee was going to change some of its rules with regard to shooting fouls. I wonder if you had an opinion on that.
Travis, you're muted right now.
I'm not sure how that happened. Somebody must have done that. Do I have any opinions on that? I think there are some plays that players are getting really good at drawing fouls that aren't shooting motions, right? You go back to the rip through where guys are creating contact to get to the foul line. That's an art form. Do I like to see it? No, but there are certain players in the league that are really good at it. I think personally, if you're an offensive player and you get the defensive player to leave their feet, you should be rewarded for that. The NBA obviously disagrees with that. There are some plays that I do think shouldn't be shooting fouls, but that particular play, which I believe they're planning on changing, if Lou Williams has made a career on that, right? Pump fake, guy jumps, lean into him, free throw. What I really disagree with, if you're going to make that call on the perimeter, you have to make the same call in the lane, and they are not going to do that. If you're in the lane and you pump fake and the guy leaves his feet and you jump into him a little bit, those are going to be free throws. That does not make sense to me, that why you would officiate that one way on the perimeter and a different way in the lane. But they do officiate, obviously, the lane different than they do the perimeter. So, but I'm not the rules guy, so I don't have a vote.
Let's go back to Zach Klein.
Two quick things, Trav. When did you feel that Hawks basketball is back? The city has always embraced, the culture, the hoops. You feel it's here to stay for years to come?
I certainly hope so. I tell you, you guys asking me about how I feel about the players, but I think what we saw, how we saw the community get behind this group during this run, I mean, that you take more pride and joy in that than anything else. To see, little kids get excited about, the Atlanta Hawks, get excited about the players. Yesterday was with my son and one of his friends, and they asked me why I had to go to work on 4th of July, and I said exit interviews. And then they went through literally every single player on our roster. What'd you tell him? What'd you tell him? What'd you tell him? So to see 2 7-year-old little boys know all 17 players on the Hawks is pretty exciting. And we saw that throughout the community. And the support we had from the fans at games was great. And I certainly hope that continues. And we're going to do everything we can to try to continue to make the community proud of our organization for sure.
And I just got a text from Steiny's agent. He's holding out for max money. Just like
everybody wants max money, you know that.
It looks like the last 2 will come from Chris Kirschner and then Emmanuel Glaze.
Chris obviously has a player option. Have you spoken with him? And are his plans to pick that up and play for the Hawks?
Obviously spoke to him yesterday. We didn't talk about that. I'll be in talk with his agents about, what they plan to do.
And then did this run with this young team remind you at all of what you guys did in Golden State back in 2013?
2013. Oh yeah, a little bit. To be honest with you, that was our first run. We were able to beat Denver in the first round when they had a great year, and then we ran into the Spurs in the second round. But we were ahead. Steph was playing on a bad ankle then, not dissimilar to Trey, I suppose. Andrew Bogut got hurt in that series as well, and that's the one thing about the playoffs. You have to have a little luck and, injury luck, avoiding luck, I guess. When you look at the teams that have success, they avoid that because it's a grind, every other day, traveling every other day. So it's, listen, they say you get lucky. I remember when we won it in 15, everyone said, oh, we were so lucky. Like, yep. And I'm glad we were.
Emmanuel?
Travis, you made another big mid-season move by bringing Lou Williams to the team, and he made mention recently of a little hint that he might return. Would the Hawks be interested in bringing him back to add that what he had with the playoff run that he had as well?
Yeah, I told Lou yesterday. I thought he was great for us, both on and off the court. Obviously, extremely productive player, but I thought just the way he interacted with all our young guys, his personality. It was great. We really saw, and I've given Lou credit for this, when he showed up, we saw a big growth in Oneka, and it's just the way that he communicates with the guys, during games, in the locker room, on the practice court. He's just got a very good way about him. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, we'd be extremely open to talking to he and his camp about moving forward. I thought he added a lot to our team.
Any final questions for Travis? There are no hands raised at the time. So we will bid you adieu.
4th of July, everyone.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.